What's up, everybody? We're back. Here we are.
Here we are.
Yep, me and Drew dropped. No Cho today. He's on death's door, apparently. He's got some unnamed, undetermined illness. He don't do too well with being sick, I've noticed. I mean, not that I do either, but, you know. I've never been around him when he's sick, but, like, you hear him, like, to hear him talk about it, it's like a nigh-on emergency each time.
You think he's
like, it's always like, I can't walk.
Yeah.
I can't get up. I can't
He's also prone to
operate.
hyperbole.
Yeah, right. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Like when he's doing good, he's like, I am the Babe Ruth of this new hobby I developed yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm the best to ever do it.
Right.
So it might just be that he exaggerates all of his current statuses, whether they be good or bad.
Yeah, I buy that for sure.
But I also think he's probably unbearably annoying when he's sick.
Yeah.
Is that what you were getting at? Did I take the bait?
No, go ahead. Continue.
Well, no, you're talking about him saying, like, I can't get up.
Yeah.
Everything sucks. I mean, I feel like he's vocal about that when he's sick, I assume, when you're present with him, don't you think?
Yeah, presumably. But it's like we say all this, and then, like, you know, Cory ends up in the hospital with some kind of pneumonia for 3 days or something. And we have egg on our faces?
No, I don't think so.
No.
We're talking about how somebody processes something. It's like a thing with men, too, right? It's like, that's a cliche now.
What?
Men are bad at being sick. We can't suffer it silently.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think moms are who develop. I think no one can suffer it silently except moms. And so moms say it about their husbands, but they say men because they're not around a lot of non-mom women. Dude, non-mom women are just as fucking and stuff. It's only moms who can do sick. Only moms.
I mean, I think like it's maybe just a parenting thing. And I was just telling Aaron before we started, I was talking about Cory. Cory used to say he liked to be sick because it gave him an excuse to not do shit, right?
Right.
But I brought that up to him recently, and he was like, well, you know, I always said that before I had a baby. Now that I have it, because babies don't give a shit how sick you are.
Or
and
hungover.
Or hungover, yes. And Amber, like, works during the day as a teacher, and Cho's got
She
the
back at
baby.
work?
Probably not this week, but, like, still, generally, he's got the baby during the day, and, you know, so if he's sick, he's still got to do baby shit because babies don't care. So he's just getting his first taste of that. I'm saying, I think that's a lesson that every parent learns, whether it's the mom or the dad. I mean, unless you're in one of those, like, old school setups or old school relationships where, like, the dad literally has nothing to do with the baby because that's woman's work or whatever. If you're living in the, you know, the 50s or Clay County, then maybe. But otherwise, I don't know. Because I think that most, you know,
Parents have to deal with it.
right, and I think that
dads
I agree
don't
with
be
you that
vocal?
women who aren't parents, just like dudes aren't parents, I don't think they're good. I wouldn't say Katie, if she hears this, she's going to vehemently deny this, but I don't think Katie's overly good at being sick. She gets pretty pitiful and everything to this day, even with kids.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm around, but if I wasn't around,
She just takes care of it.
she would just do it. But if I'm around, she's like she's been sick this week, and she's mostly been in the bed, and which is
Yeah.
fine with me. And I'm,
No,
you know,
I think it's just like if you're sick, if you have someone that you do feel comfortable like relying on, and then also being vocally like whiny to, you're gonna do it, and you are Cory's daddy / boyfriend. And I'm making a joke, but I'm kind of being for real. Cause like, all right, if you want to talk about men in general, you want to talk about Cho or both?
both.
All right, so men in general and like that whole thing we're talking about, I think you're right that parents just have to deal with it. But I do think that moms hear their husbands deal with it and something clicks in them where they're like, yeah, I was sick you have this because I had it last week. And it just feels like they're always like annoyed at their husbands. And I think that's where that cliche comes from. But I don't think anyone deals with sick being great, and anyone who has someone to whine to will.
Yeah.
Because I've had it.
Right.
Every girl I've dated, not just Andy. Pitiful, vocally, dramatic. A fever 102, I may not make it through the winter.
Right.
We should discuss what to do with my things.
So what about Cho?
Oh, he's full of shit. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying he's not sick, but like, I like being sick. No, you don't. No, you don't. No one likes being sick.
Yeah. Well, what he's like, I kind of got it. Oh, I haven't been wearing my cans. I know you don't like them, but I do, so I'm putting them on anyway.
Oh, I'm taking mine off. Cory's not here.
So what were we saying? Choke, don't lie. Oh, what he meant was like, he was saying if he's normal, if he's tip-top shape and he don't get anything done productive or anything like that, he hates himself for it. He feels like a worthless piece of shit. But if he's sick, he's like, well, of course I didn't get anything done. I've been sick, which I kind of get. Like, do you not feel is your sense of self-worth at all related to your sense of productivity? Because mine is like directly one-to-one tied to it. It's like the number one thing.
I don't know if it's my number one thing, but definitely it's there. I totally get that, but his ability as a salesman to present a logic attached to what it is he's trying to present has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. In fact, I think it sort of belies my point. Did I use that word correctly? Proves my point about him being full of shit. He's trying to find the good in it, which is something I respect about him.
Right.
But he doesn't like it.
Right.
That's not liking it.
Yeah.
Saying that I have found a positive aspect of this last 3 days that I've had is not liking the last 3 days that you've had. Mm-hmm. If you're actually sick, you hate it. If you don't hate it, you're not fucking sick. There's been plenty of times in my life where, like, when I was in high school, I didn't want to go to school. Junior high, I didn't want to go to school. Just took my temp on a whim. Most of the times it's normal. Every once in a while, I felt fine, but it was high. That's not really being sick, but I didn't have to go to school that day. You see what I'm getting at? Mm-hmm. I loved that day.
Right.
Why? I wasn't sick.
Right.
I just got to pretend to be. So my argument is like, I don't think he or anyone else likes being sick. I think that's an aspect of being sick that he's found the positive in, which is a good thing to do. It's a great way to live your life.
Yeah.
But I don't think he likes it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think him being miserable is like everyone else. We're all miserable when we're sick.
Yeah, my whole family's been sick recently, except for me. And sometimes I've had instances where I survived that, where I came out the other side of it without ever catching it. But I'm always just waiting for the.
Do you have a little jealousy? Because I do have the grass is greener thing. Even though
What?
I know no
You
one
just
likes
said-
being sick.
Okay.
I know no one likes being sick. There's times where Andy's sick and I'm not, and I'm like, I wish I could just lay in that fucking bed. But then when you do it, you're just like, it sucks.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Right. Because if you're the one that isn't sick, you got to like do shit. You know,
Yes.
I had to go to this. We were out of everything because we got back from Tennessee. We had no milk or eggs or any of that shit. So I had to go to the grocery store on New Year's Eve, which is like, you know,
Was it empty?
No, it was packed. Because
Really?
people were prepping for like their parties and shit that night. I mean, the parking lot was full. It was, and that shit stresses me out and drives me crazy. But you know, I had to do it because Katie was sick, and so like that type of thing. Yes, you're sitting there like, this is fucking bullshit. But you know, whatever. It's not. And then, but I still don't want to get. I know I've got like, you know, I know I'll get sick right before I've got like a show or something like that, like something that I need to do, or a particularly long day or whatever, is when it'll hit me. But I hope it don't hit me at all. Sometimes I make it through.
What's great is when you're not that sick.
Yeah.
Especially if like people had it and it hit them hard, and then you can pretend. And I also think, going back to the broad thing, that's really what we're being accused of by women. Like, we're being accused of pretending to be sicker than we are.
Oh, dude, Katie has never. I could be like literally in need of an ambulance, and Katie would be like, really?
Yeah.
Like every time. She has never genuinely believed any of my. It took her probably years to truly believe that like I had double vision and needed like surgical correction for my eyes and shit. She thought I was just like making it up, or she acts like I'm making it up, or like I'm overstating everything.
Yep.
Like always.
They're turned off by it, so I think it's their natural inclination to argue with it.
Right.
Like, I do think, and it maybe society built it into them, maybe it's like animal times, but it's like they want us to be tough and strong and all that. So like when we display
She
weakness,
should have picked a different one.
sure. Well, but maybe that's it with her though. It's like, you're strong in different ways. Like, this guy can't bench press my house, but he's
Yeah.
going to get shit done.
Yeah.
Here he is, not getting shit done. Bad
Right.
eyes.
Right.
That's not your thing. Come on.
Dude, I thought before about like when I was going through all that shit with my eyes and whatnot, I was like, man, if I had been born like 200 years ago or more,
Yeah.
like I'd just be cast into the streets, like just to beg for it. Like I wouldn't be able to do shit. I mean, I'd have to wear
because of the glasses.
Yeah, because the only way I could have fixed it without surgery, is I almost had to just wear an eye patch all the time. Like, dang.
So you would have been a badass.
Yeah, but I can't pull an eye patch off.
You could have 200 years ago.
Or maybe, yeah. But
tell people riddles and shit.
But I guess 200 years ago,
dude, you'd have made a badass court jester with an eye patch.
Maybe. Well, 200 years ago is maybe not far enough because I think
Trae the one-eyed clown will now entertain us with his farts.
I think they had glasses like for nearsightedness.
And you don't have that?
No, I do have that.
Oh.
I have both. That's what I'm saying. Is like I used to
like
say
one spot. You can. What do you mean both?
No, I've been nearsighted my whole life.
Okay.
Currently, I do not have double vision because I was finally able to get it corrected.
Sorry, you meant both near and double. I thought you meant near and far.
No,
Bro, you blind.
No, near and double. And so, like, when I had not yet fixed it surgically, if I didn't have my glasses on, so I had nearsighted and double vision. And it's not like horrific nearsightedness, but it's pretty bad. I know this doesn't mean anything to you, but it's like negative 4.5, which is like not great, but not good either.
I love that I've never even known there were numbers.
So anyway, before I had the surgery, if I had my glasses off, like I genuinely believe I might have qualified as legally blind, like without my glasses on, because like everything was blurry and there was two of it. So like, I mean, I couldn't make shit out. Like it was hugely disorienting. And I thought like if I lived in the past before they had corrective lenses, I just would have been like with the lepers and shit.
See, I've thought about that a lot. I have asthma as a kid. I would have died. Except that some people don't think asthma existed until like modern industrial, you know what I'm saying, like smog and fucking all this. And other people are like, nah, them kids died,
so they
didn't know what it was. So sometimes I'm like, well, I'd have died 200 years ago, or I wouldn't have had asthma holding me back. Would have been a golden god. I would take either of those outcomes. Mm-hmm. Right here, right now, everyone. I'm saying it. 200 years ago, put me back. It's easy for a white man to say.
What about everything else?
Yeah, you're right.
Like, dude, the past don't hit. Sure. That's the other thing too. That talking about, I've thought a lot about what space I would have occupied in the past. Like, I had a bit about this briefly right before we got shut down for COVID and shit. And then
born into the same class you're born into?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Like, I realized once while watching fucking Bridgerton with Katie, right, that like people love these shows and you watch these shows and you sort of, if you put yourself in them at all, like, what would I do in this situation? Or, oh, guys, whatever. But like, you think you would be part of these characters and narratives and storylines that they show on these shows, which is always like nobility and upper class people, when in reality you'd be a filthmonger peddling in the. I mean, most of us, I would be. It's like, oh, don't take me cabbage, me lord, I need me cabbage, you know, like that. Like, that's who I would be, right? Yeah. And so
I would have been the one picking a fight with a knight and getting killed.
And there was no any kind of upward mobility or nothing like that back then. It didn't matter. You're apt to, plus not to mention my eye problems. Like, I just would have been fucked.
You could have been a pirate, dude.
Absolutely.
You could have been a pirate.
What kind of pirate is blind? A blind pirate?
No, you said you could have worn an eye patch.
Take care of the parrot, but not the nearsightedness. So I have to wear an eye patch and like a fucking monocle.
They would have kept you around and tell them riddles.
That's the ultimate 1800s combination right there. Eye patch and monocle.
Told them riddles, dude. I bet you'd have been fire at riddles. They'd have kept you around.
But yeah, I don't know.
You don't think you'd have been fire at riddles?
If I needed to be, I guess I could have come up with some riddles. Yeah.
I think you would have been a great pirate, dude.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Definitely.
And they had mobility. Upward,
they did
sideways.
Yeah. I'd have to give my butt up. I'm assuming that was part of it, right?
Yeah, a butt pirate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just I don't know. It just seems like that was. I mean, they did a lot of like raping, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily consider you to be one of the victims, but I guess the alternative is also a hairy thing to consider. So let's move on.
Right.
When I watch those shows, and I don't. That's why I've never been able to get over that. I've never been able to see myself in them. I don't know when it stopped. I'm sure when I was 8, I wasn't like, actually, the class I was born into. But at some point, I got over it. Game of Thrones has always been the one exception. And I think partially because it did have a few people, who were figuring out ways to go beyond their means. Varys was one of them. What about
Littlefinger?
Blackwater? I forget everyone's name.
The Onion Knight, Davos Seaworth.
Not Seaworth. Something of Blackwater was his knight name because he was never
Bronn of the Blackwater.
That dude was just good at fighting and just like told everybody, I'll fight for you if you pay me more.
Right.
I got hit for me.
Yeah, did you know well, I'm sure you probably do know this, but
It's been a while, and as you could tell, I don't remember a lot.
Well, almost all of those characters and storylines and everything in that whole show, I mean, I say the show, it's based on the books, obviously. George R. R. Martin for the books. Almost all that shit was based on real stuff, right? But the biggest source is probably the War of the Roses, right? That's where you got a lot of that familial political fighting and shit that goes on in the show. But like I was going to say, Varys, we talked about this kind of. I didn't bring up Varys, I don't think, but we talked about eunuchs in China and whatnot. Yeah, and not just in China, but it was. So anyway, never mind, I forgot we talked about it. But like how everybody else thinks he's like shady and crafty and conniving and that type of thing, those were like the real stereotypes of these court eunuchs like back in the day, like, and some of them were like master manipulators who rose to the top and got the got the emperor's ear and all that stuff. So like, you know, a lot of that, like there were people like Varys in real life, like in China specifically and probably elsewhere.
I always wanted this to be a bit and I couldn't figure it out. It happens on the internet, but you just reminded me it happens in real life too, where like the way those things get created, those stereotypes, is like we all get kind of known by our assholes, or like whoever's representing your group in the most negative, loudest way.
I mean, rednecks certainly understand that, or rural Southerners at least.
I think everybody understands it, and then it happens on the internet now all the time, where it's like the algorithm pushes the loudest and the brashest, and then if you've never experienced this thing. And it could be anything. I mean, you see it now generationally. It's like, all these Gen Z kids do fill in the blank. And then whatever the old person says, it's just what the algorithm showed them, you know. They're just on the internet, you know, whatever. Hating cops, dyeing their hair purple, being gay. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, that's clearly what you like because it shows you what you like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, what percentage of them you think do have purple hair?
I think a small percentage.
Yeah, right. You think most
go to
of
my
them,
hometown.
You think most of them are like just basically like we were when we were that age, but with
John's friends
different musical interests and whatnot?
Yes, it's literally what I was going to say. Is John's friends are riding around in 20-year-old Ford pickup trucks with big ass belt buckles, saying things they're not supposed to say, and cut off T-shirts. They're just listening to, frankly, you know what? Gen Z is a little gayer country music.
Okay, but you're talking about Morgan County, right? Like Morgan County, Clay County, they don't. I mean, those places don't change. You think in L.A. the high school kids, late teenagers, whatever, are the same as they were 20 years ago? Because I bet they're not.
But that's L.A.'s thing is changing. They're no different in the sense of they're trying very hard to be different. They're not like lazier or. That's what I'm getting at. Is it's always like these words that are moral judgments. They're not morally worse. That's all I mean.
Do you know that apparently middle school age kids, at least maybe a little older now, they're like extremely into Crocs. Like almost everybody wears Crocs to the point that like my son's middle school had to ban Crocs. It's like I didn't know they were very in. I said the same thing. I was like, I don't get that, and you know, but Katie was like, because it's like wearing a sandal, and they don't allow sandals either. And I was like, I don't know.
Why don't they allow sandals?
It's closed toe. I mean, my school didn't allow sandals. Did your school allow sandals? Because ours definitely did not.
Buddy, we dipped in PE class. Of course we could wear sandals. What?
We dipped too, but we couldn't. Well, dipping's cool. Sandals are gay, for one thing. So like that's why.
What is even the logic?
I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure we couldn't
wear. Is it some foot fetish freak? Like we're making girls take them sandals off. I can't handle it.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it's something about open toe. I think like that don't hit for some reason.
It's got to be sexual. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, I know. For example, even after hours school on the football team, you couldn't wear sandals in the weight room.
Well, that's because you get your fucking toe crushed.
I know that. But I don't know but what... Look, I'm pretty sure it's a rule at my school, and I know it's a rule at my son's school, because we were just talking about it yesterday.
And they didn't tell you...
classified Crocs as...
And you don't ask why, because you're like, whatever, I'd rather just tell my kid he can't wear sandals than talk to him.
Oh, he wasn't even mad. Their grandma bought him some Crocs, and he didn't... He was like, whatever. And I said, I thought everybody liked Crocs. And he was like, we ain't even allowed to have Crocs at my school. And that was the end of it. I was just like, huh. And then I would ask Katie about it. I was like, that's weird. She was like, no, it's like a sandal. And they don't allow sandals either. And that was the end of the whole thing.
I think it's that I'm so wired to be like, everything's bullshit. Why can't they wear, like, what?
Maybe it's considered unhygienic or something. like a health code
feet?
type thing?
Do kids have really smelly feet? Is that a
I mean,
thing?
you got all these little like trash babies walking in there with bare feet and stuff.
Maybe.
I can see how that don't hit.
Yeah, I don't want to see. I don't want to see kids' feet. Oh, that's what it is. I don't want to see that.
Shit, what was I going to say? Something about, that you're talking about, y'all didn't have any kind of dress code or nothing? Because we had a little bit, they banned
trench coats.
They banned baggy pants, right? Racist, sure. At the same time, they also banned Dixie Outfitter stuff, the Confederate flag branded. That was
the Confederate flag was banned at some point.
Yeah.
Trench coats, and I remember this kid wore one once, kind of like a free speech thing, but also we were all like, he might kill us. He's super into like Rob Zombie.
On that note, I've thought before having kids is this because I texted you. We went to this Thanksgiving thing with a bunch of improv comedy people and their children. Most of these kids are around the same age as mine, elementary, middle school. And there's a bunch of kids, and they're all at the kids' table having dinner. And I walked by and I heard these kids talking to each other and like laughing and joking and in high spirits about. And the subject matter was like what they would do if a school shooter showed up in their school.
And they're like,
I'd dive into the closet, I'd do this, whatever. And they're all like, all smiles, laughing about it. And I was like, this is so fucked up. And two of those kids are mine. It fucking broke my heart. I mean, but also I get emails, dude. I get emails at least once a semester, if not multiple times, where there's some kind of, so far, thank God, false alarm about like a gun violence thing in Burbank schools. Happens all the fucking time. So it's like in your face all the time, and it's awful. And I've thought before, like, we didn't have that when we were kids. I used to have briefly had a line on stage about, I was like, I never worried about getting shot when I went to school. And I went to school with a bunch of dudes who exclusively talked about the things that they shot that weekend, right? Like, there were guns in the parking lot. Everybody had hunting rifles and stuff, and I never worried about getting shot. These kids today, like that type of thing. But
kids these days won't leave their guns in the parking lot.
But then I really thought about it, and like at my school, I don't think we processed it. I don't think we got freaked out or nothing. But like at my school, I remember like there was a time where like you had to have a see-through or mesh backpack. Did y'all do that? You had to have a see-through mesh backpack.
I remember the phenomenon.
I know people blame. I'm not saying it isn't racist at times, but like the rationale for the baggy pants thing, ostensibly, was that you could hide a gun in there, and that's why the trench coats and whatnot, like.
The trench coats was post-Columbine.
This was all post-Columbine.
Yeah.
I'm saying all this was in response to Columbine. Like, there were things that happened in schools, even in places like Clay County, some of the most remote schools in this country. These measures reached there, and it was a thing. But we were like...
No infringements upon the Second Amendment, though. Nowhere.
Well, no, that was way before anybody even was suggesting that. They were like, well, we'll start with clear backpacks, and it'll be fine.
Did you say queer backpacks?
Yeah, right.
Might as well have.
That's what they thought, I guess. No, you're right. Nothing like limiting, any kind of gun control never even got brought up, I feel like. But I'm just saying that shit was a thing, but it wasn't as ubiquitous or pervasive as it is now. And I feel like we kind of just, I don't know how you feel about it. I feel like we kind of just shrugged it off or something. Like we didn't process it. Because in my head, I think about it and I'm like, we never worried about school shootings. But then I think about that and I'm like, I mean, it was kind of in our face though, even back then. Like for a while, it was a big thing.
It was a big deal when that kid wore that trench coat. Like we were all talking about it.
Yeah.
I remember I wouldn't say I was buddies with him. One day I was walking down the hall and he screamed at me, "Look, it's Tom Green." He was a very funny guy. This was my first interaction with him. And I just, Tom Green used to do that. My bum is on.
Of course, yeah.
So I turned and my bum is on the locker. My bum is on the locker. And I think he couldn't believe that I knew what he was referencing or that I would talk to him or whatever because I was a jock and we kind of became buddies. I remember defending the kid when other people were like, "I heard he had a gun." And I was like, no, he didn't. Like, he's just a goofball who's thinks this is his stand, Like, his mom got him a cool trench coat and he can't fucking wear it because of this policy, blah, 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 right? Anyway, I just remember, kids being like, I could see him being a school shooter. He does get picked on sometimes, too. You know what I mean? So I know we were aware of it.
Right.
But like you said, I think we would just accept it. I mean, I think that's, even if kids are raging against the thing because they don't like the rule, they're just sort of like, this is how the world is. And, dude, 3 or 4 days after you sent that text, no, it would have been longer than that because I think this was closer to Christmas. my nephews and niece were doing the same thing. It was, since John Robert was involved, it was a lot less jokey and more boisterous. You ain't keeping me in no classroom.
Yeah.
I'm going out the back door. I don't care what the rule is. I'll be in my truck and home before they ever even figure out where I'm at. Or I'll go get my gun, which that's not healthy, but I do hope he runs.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Shit's wild. I wanted to ask you something, probably a dumb question.
Oh, and just real quick, my niece said that she would have to go get her backpack because it has her money in it. Mm-hmm. She's 11. So I was like, sweetie, you leave your money. Yeah. You just leave. You go wherever you're told or you run.
Is she like, but it's $16.
Well, she's like, here's what I told her. I said, whatever you have in there, I'll double it. If that ever happens and you leave it, and I'll double it. And then she goes, well, I guess I'm going to put $1,000 in my backpack then.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Take a picture of it.
Right. It's so fun. Just a side note you made me think of, like, we on our trip to Tennessee, staying at grandma's house and stuff, the boys watched for the first time The Price is Right. Right?
Okay.
And now, first of all, let me just say that, like,
wait, did you watch it because our buddy was on it?
Or was hell, I forgot that even happened. No, it's just, it's grandma's house. You're there on a weekday during the daytime, like The Price is Right is on. Like, of course it is. But they'd never seen it before because they're always in school, and when they're not in school, I don't be having The Price is Right on the TV because I'm not a mammal, right? But anyway, I always loved that show. Speaking of staying home sick from school, whatever, it's a hallmark of our childhoods, I feel like. But anyway, all I was going to say is it's funny. It's not at all surprising, but it's funny how, like, comically terrible they are
at kids.
Yes, at knowing what anything costs. You know what I mean? Like, they'll be like,
did they even truly get the concept of the game
I think
with
so.
Online shopping, or did that even make them more into it? Maybe
I don't know. It seemed like they got it. It's just like they were just so off base with every guess. But the truth is, I have no room to talk. I mean, there were multiple times I kept like so many times I'd look at Kay and be like, goddamn Joe Biden, because something would be so much more expensive than I thought it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I did that repeatedly because it kept happening to me because I was so far off. But yeah, I just kept like, but I mean, I've been very open about how stupid I am about money and how much things cost. And it's that, like, because it's like people think that's a rich person thing, which I mean, like in Arrested Development, it's a banana. How much could it cost? Or $12 or whatever, that line. Like,
there's always money in the banana stand.
Yeah, that's the banana line. Maybe it's a gallon of milk. It's whatever. Anyway, it's like a thing. It's a cliche. Rich people don't know how much anything costs, right?
Sure.
But like, I'm fucking,
if you don't buy it, how would you know?
Poor white trash, and I don't know what shit costs, and never have. I mean, I guess I should at this point, but I still very much don't because I'm as bad at Price is Right as my sons are.
Like, if it's
I don't know, dude. Katie knows how much everything.
Because she be looking. She want to buy it.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, I guess you're right.
She also resells stuff. Yeah. That requires you to have market knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't know how much anything costs. Do you know the general concepts that were touched upon by, say, Nate Bargatze in his last comedy special?
I don't think I watched his last special.
What about the one before that?
Probably. I think so.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, that might be why Katie knows it. Because she's like me selling
I thought
stuff.
You were saying he had a bit about pricing or something.
No. I'm saying like you know stuff about stuff you're supposed to know stuff about.
Right.
And I just, Katie be shopping and she be selling. She be doing both them things.
Katie do be shopping.
Shout out our buddy Andy who was on The Prices, right?
Yeah.
And I think won.
That's what Cory said, wasn't it? He won.
Well, I went and checked out his Instagram and stuff. It looks like from the way he was posting, they were celebrating a win.
Yeah,
which is
I
rad.
get smoked on there. And that I was thinking, like, Cory, of course, because he's Cory. When we were talking about our friend Andy being on there and winning, I was like, Joe, I bet you think, because also I would never go to a taping because I'm the way my brain works. I'd be like, there is 0% chance that they're bringing me on that stage. Like, because that, it's a lottery to even get on the show is a lottery. They just pull you down from the audience, right? So like, I don't know, 300 people go. And they pull down 12.
I always assume the producers
they do
handpick.
They do, but you don't know if you've been picked or not. The way they line them all up on the way. This is what I've always heard. I've never been, but I've always heard they line them all up on the way into the taping, and they have all these producers and stuff that sort of walk through. They look for, how people make all these like shirts that say like "We love you, Drew" and shit like that on it or whatever, or like. inside jokes. Like the other day, it said, "I love Adam, not that Adam," which is apparently a reference to the director of Price is Right is named Adam Sandler, but they always clarify not that Adam Sandler.
Oh.
So it's like in jokes for shit like that. People do stuff like that because the producers walk around back there. They look for that type of thing, or people who just look interesting or whatever. Then they'll go over and talk to them, and if they hit in some way or whatever, then they put them on a list and they drop them that list, and that's who they call down. But even knowing all that, I've always been like, there's no way I would ever get,
picked.
called. If you're talking about a 1% chance, less than 1% chance of something, I'm not the guy who hits a less than 1% chance of a thing, other than my career existing, I guess. But which is a pretty big one. But Cory
Made it out of poverty.
But Cory, okay, well, with little things, all right. But anyway, I asked Cory. I'm talking about like Price is Right.
I had the worst fucking luck.
Yeah, sitting in fucking Burbank, having grown up in Clay County, Tennessee, with a pillhead
Bill
mom.
Burr's company.
Yeah,
Fucking
right. Yeah, I'm a real sad sack, down on my luck loser.
I know what you mean. It's like gamey shit.
But Cory is the exact
opposite.
opposite.
Yeah.
And I asked him.
Stuck in Chickamauga.
I was like,
always wins at the casino.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was like, I bet you think not only would you get called up there, but that you'd just run roughshod over the whole thing all the way to the showcase and win that too, right? And he was like, no doubt in my mind. Absolutely, 100%. Right. And I wasn't surprised by that answer, but while watching the show and realizing how bad I was at it, I was like, no, he fucking wouldn't. Because I know he also don't hit at that type of thing.
There's no way he knows what stuff costs.
Because me and him have talked about it. Like, we've talked about how he's also not good at knowing what stuff costs.
He just agrees with you, first of all.
Okay,
so you can't base it on that.
All right.
Again, there's a theme today that I want you to understand. He just says what hits. So I go two ways on it. One is like, I feel like it is part of his thing, like almost on purpose, not to know what stuff costs.
Yes.
It requires engagement on a level he doesn't want to deal with. He lets Amber handle stuff.
He thinks it hits to not know what stuff costs.
Yep.
For aforementioned, it's a rich people thing reasons. Like, that's a thing that flossers do.
Right.
Right. Is they don't care what things cost.
It's been a while since I've watched the show, so I may only be remembering the showcases. Now, the showcases are like cruises, jet skis,
cars,
hot tubs,
vacations,
cars.
yeah.
Before that, is it like everyday items, or is it's like
that too? It's both. It's a
what's
big
in,
mixture.
but not everyday items like milk. Everyday items.
No, well, I don't know about like milk, but like the other day,
like a microwave.
One
I
of them
thought
was a jar of Cheese Whiz.
He definitely knows what that costs.
Okay, but do you? How much a jar of Cheese Whiz
I have
cost?
no idea.
You got to guess?
Why would I know that? $5.59.
What the fuck? I was like.
Was that close?
I was like $2.49 or whatever.
Oh, when you were in high school, it was $2.49.
And then they said it was $5.99.
Dude,
and that's when
am I good at it?
But I just
I'm good at it.
What the fuck? And that was a time where I was like, goddamn Joe Biden, what the fuck? That little thing.
Does Katie do all the grocery shopping?
$5.99. No, I do mostly.
You just don't pay attention.
No, she got so mad at me once because like squash were out of season.
Yeah.
And I just wanted some squash and I didn't know that and I didn't look at the price and I came back. She was like, you spent $30 on squash, right? Because I bought like not a crazy amount, but it was out of season, so it was priced very high per pound, and I just didn't pay any attention or didn't notice. So I mean, yeah.
I think I would do that though too, because I know about what Cheese Whiz costs because I'm a big salsa man and I like getting different types. So I was pricing it essentially the same as salsa in my head.
I just couldn't believe a jar of cheese was $6 fucking. Joe Biden blew me away.
Oh, this made me laugh the other day. This is a huge hard left turn. We'll just do the line and we'll get right back into Prices Right groceries. Somebody said if Trump really wanted to just really make all his haters mad, he should just do a tour of Gaza, slapping "I did that" stickers on everything. That's Joe Biden. I did that sticker. All right, let's get back to it. I don't think I would be good at that at all. I think I knew that. I knew that one. Like I was like, oh, salsa, it's like $5.49. There'd be others I would know. Like I got a good brain. I would remember the things that I knew. But dude, I don't own a microwave or a toaster. I have no idea how much these things cost. Do you know what I mean? Like the appliances in my kitchen are a Berkey water filter. I don't know how much that costs because as soon as I saw it, I had a fucking aneurysm and knew I'd already lost that argument and moved on before I got a divorce. Because I don't know if you know this, but fluoride will clog your third eye, Trae. We got a chuckle from the back there. What other appliances do I have? I got a bottle heater. We got that used. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much a bottle warmer costs because we got ours off Facebook Marketplace for $20. You know what I mean? We got a swing that's like regularly, I think, $400 for $100.
What about
Andy's
like a Sea-Doo jet ski, a new one?
Ooh,
That
brand new.
Another one, yeah, brand new.
Is it how long? What's the? You got to give me the CCs.
I mean, buddy, I don't remember.
That's a huge deal. The motor and how long it is.
Yeah, well, I couldn't tell you, so I guess we could.
That's going to be tough for me too. I think it'd be like you with Cheese Whiz. I used to be able to price one of them. But things have changed.
Yeah, I used to know.
I think they're at
cars.
I think they're $18,000.
This one, it may have a very small motor, or whatever. I guess like 12, and it was like 8. Well, it blew me away. Couldn't believe it.
You're telling me I can afford a jet ski?
I could not believe it. But that's what
I gotta find.
That's what I'm saying. It goes both ways. It's fucking weird. Anyway, I had another. I wanted to ask you something. Stupid 6th grader type question, but I still don't know.
Yes, we should buy jet skis.
Right. Jet skis do hit. I'm a big fan. They
Well,
serve
I think part of the
no
reason,
purpose.
Part of the reason they're
which
cheap,
is part of what hits for me.
I think part of the reason they're so cheap is like worse than boats. You get almost nothing out of them, and then they break.
Yeah.
And you can't like go to Catalina. You might be able to go to Catalina Island, but you can't.
Right.
Like you can do a lap, and then you got to work on it.
No, they're just to be rad for a little bit.
To do what they do.
That's all they're for. They
Right.
don't do anything else.
I'm gonna get real ignorant.
But they are rad.
While being close to not being ignorant. To do what they do, they have to put a certain kind of motor on and be affordable. They have to put a certain kind of motor on them. I don't remember if it's inboard or outboard or any of those words. That motor is just hard to maintain.
Yeah.
That's always been the thing. And like you could make it not be a shitty motor and then it would be $30,000. Sorry, go ahead.
Can cops commandeer vehicles in real life?
Commandeer.
That's what they always say in the movies.
Oh, like
I'm commandeering this vehicle.
Well, sure, they have a gun and a badge. What are you going to do to stop them?
But like legally.
They also have qualified immunity. So if they're in the line of duty, you couldn't you could be like, you shouldn't have done that, and they could be like, yeah, you're right. Well, all right, I'm going to sue you. Well, I have qualified immunity. So sure.
Okay.
Is there a statute that says they're allowed to do that?
Are they supposed to not do that?
I don't remember ever hearing of that. Okay. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but like...
Well, don't a lot of people say that like they really shouldn't be chasing people anyway in these like high-speed situations?
There's a lot of states that's like, don't chase. Like motorcycles in most states, you don't chase them.
Because it just ends up... it's dangerous for everybody.
Yeah. Like
all the other innocent people have nothing to do with it. It's dangerous for them too.
Somebody dies. I was in one in San Francisco. Did I tell you about San Francisco? I was not in it, but like
saw one
on it. It happened among me.
I saw one once.
This guy come by me, and he swerved in front of me. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then he got over on the shoulder because we were hitting traffic. Man, this guy, Jesus! And then I realized he had a flat tire. I was like, "Damn, he's going really fast. I didn't even know he has a flat." I wonder if he's being chased. Like that's the only reason to drive on a flat tire, especially fast, and then 12 cars. I looked in the mirror and there were 12 cop cars behind us. It was pretty crazy.
Did you tell me about San Francisco? I mean, you talking about your car getting broken into?
Yeah, okay. It's been a while. So, okay, I thought I had. Sorry.
I don't know if we talked about it on here or not, but okay. So you said
just don't tell my dad, everybody. That's my only thing. I don't want him to know he was right about that city.
Sure, I know. Well, that's what I said when you told me. It's like I spent the whole time in San Francisco because I was there the weekend before you doing shows, and I spent the whole time walking around being like, Trae, stop being like that. Because in my head, because I've still got a little bit like small town, my Meemaw in me when it comes to that type of thing. Not Burbank because I've lived here for years, but like big cities.
Get murdered in the city.
Exactly. I can't help it. So like I'd be walking around, also walking around fucking Fisherman's Wharf, by the way, because that's where Cobb's is, and like that's the touristy part of the city. But I'm saying I'm in San Francisco and I'm just walking around the whole time, like just being like, God, I hope I don't get poop thrown at me or something. You know, I hope I don't get mugged, all this shit. And then the other half of my brain being like, Trae, seriously, it's going to be fine. That's all fear mongering bullshit. Get over it, whatever. And nothing happened to me. Then a week later, you go, and the first day you're there, you send us a picture of your car having been broken into. And it's like, well, you know, so I guess there's a reason.
Yep.
They say all that don't hit. But what was I gonna say about cops? You said you could say like, you shouldn't have done that, and they're like, nah. I know that you saw, I think, because Mark threaded it, those St. Louis cops who crashed their cruiser into a gay bar and then got out and arrested the owners of said gay bar for getting mad at them for doing that. So like they crashed in the side of the building. The owners came out and were like, "What the fuck, dude?" Which is what anyone would say. And the cops were like, he's resisting, whatever. Fucking tased him, put a knee in his back or whatever, and took him to jail for like getting pissed at them for destroying his property. They were both like rookie cops who were still on their probationary period and were some reason in the same car together, which seems to me like that shouldn't ever happen. You'd think that the cop like that would be paired with a veteran or something. But it was two rookie cops on probation. They didn't drug test them or anything like that somehow, even though if you've seen the video, they don't swerve to avoid a fucking deer or anything like that. They just go off the road and just run right into the side of this building. So I would think you might want to check to see. Mark pointed out that like if you wreck a warehouse or if you wreck a forklift in a warehouse, you're going to be like forcibly drug tested and disciplined and perhaps removed or whatever. But like
if you wreck
you could
your
be
car,
a cop who crashes a car into a building and they don't do none of that. So it's all pretty raven.
I mean, yeah, it's almost as if they exist in some weird level of total impunity.
Right. Impunity.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I wanted to mix it with mutiny, I think.
You did, yeah.
I think that they get away with everything. I think that it's bad for our culture. And I think that people who are pro-cop are so defensive / proud of the cops that they're genuinely, completely blinded into this cult level. Because even that, like, if you genuinely loved cops, that should make you mad.
Right.
It should make you mad that two asshole cops were acting like assholes.
That's what I've always thought about.
But it's so like us and versus them,
right?
With like people who are pro-cop versus anti-cop, that they're like, circle the wagons. I mean, dude, someone in my family who's a correctional officer, and even that, tangentially. Like, he's not a CO in the room. He does something else at the prison, It's like, well, it's like a brotherhood. We got each other's back. I'm like, how can you not see that that's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
That it can't be that way. By default, like, the whole description of what they do, serve, protect, it's not about you. It's about everyone else. It's bad. It's real gross.
So, generally speaking, if another comedian's in the news or something, I mean, especially if I know them, but even if I don't know them, but I have respect for them or whatever, for being like crossing the line or having an offensive joke or whatever, like I'm generally speaking never gonna like really go after that person for saying a joke that went too far or something like that. I'm probably always gonna at least half-ass kind of defend it or be like, well, listen, they hit for maybe they shouldn't have said that or whatever, and just be kind of non-committal about it and move on. But anytime any kind of comedian has been like rapey or whatever, like like did something on the level of shooting a whole bunch of unarmed black people and their dogs and all this other shit, like cops, like anytime any other comedian's done something that's like on that level, most comics generally are like, well, I can't fuck with that, and then they don't go to bat for them anymore, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So I'm just talking about the whole like brotherhood, fraternity idea of it. I'm saying like,
well, you can understand on a human level.
That's what I mean, but you'd think there would be a line, right?
There is. It's thin and blue.
Right, exactly. But for like us, and I think most other people in a similar situation, like there's a line that it's like if another comic goes beyond that line, you're like, well, that's fuck. I'm not down. I'm not going to defend that. But cops don't seem to have that line.
Well, that's one of many differences. I mean, let's start with our jokes don't keep society in line.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
They, Drew?
So like we shouldn't have the same standards of them. But even as you're pointing out, if we did, we would be a little bit better at it. It seems to me and to us. I think that. What was I going to say? Oh hell, I don't know. Oh well, because they also have. There's like the. We do get kept in line a little bit, though, as comics, too. Like, there is a little bit of, like, don't go after comics, and if you do, it'll hurt your career.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I know.
so they have that.
And they have that too,
backed
right,
up
exactly.
by violence.
That's definitely a part of it. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
You know, like,
but it's very different jobs. Number one.
Right.
Number two, there's almost a split sometimes in comedy because some guys will go super hard after people and try to make that their career. There's no equivalent of that I know of with the police.
Right.
They get killed, I think.
Right.
Or they never become cops in the first place. They're not, attracted to that type of existence or whatever. It's very strange.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is they think they're the Army. In the Army.
Yeah, but the Army's like generally way better about a lot of that type of shit.
I know.
Rules of engagement and that type of thing.
Because actually being who cops think they are is extremely difficult and requires a lot of discipline, and it does require a brotherhood, I think. And it is super fucked up when somebody does something crazy in the Army and then they close ranks. It's super fucked up. There's a lot of sexual abuse. Obviously, we know that sometimes there's like friendly fire or whatever.
Pat Tillman thing, right?
And then they all keep quiet.
Yeah.
But there you go. You guys literally thought you were going to die.
Right.
Cops think that they have to be in the, like this person in my family who's a correctional officer, and not really. He does something else at the prison. But they have teachers, they have therapists, they have medical personnel. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you're not saving any cop's life by being part of the brotherhood. Mm-hmm. You circling the wagons about what CNN said about Derek Chauvin isn't backing the blue in a way that's going to help the blue.
Right.
It's just going to make America worse. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's a huge difference. Whereas if you're in a fucking war zone, it still sometimes has gross results, but I understand how you end up there.
Right.
It's like, you don't know what we've been through. When a cop says that, I'm like, I think I do most of the time. Sometimes not. If you were on like the sexual assault force, yeah, you saw some shit. You answered a call where a kid was, okay, you've been through some shit I don't understand. But like mostly guys in my small town, you're just driving around breaking up high school parties. And because of that, you're defending Derek Chauvin? That's so ridiculous.
On that note, I don't know if you heard, but New York City, they massively increased the amount of cops they have in the subway system because I guess they got a subway crime problem or whatever. So, like...
The crime, by the way, is jumping the turnstiles.
Hang on. You're getting ahead of me. So, they got a subway crime problem. Ostensibly, they upped the police presence. They didn't hire more police. They just gave them overtime pay if you take a subway shift or whatever, which means that the... overtime pay for the NYPD went from $4 million in 2022 to $155 million this year, right?
Nice.
Massive increase. Resulted in a 2% drop in violent crime, but a 300% increase in fare evasion arrests, right? The 300% increase in fare evasions amounted to like something like 2,000 additional fare evasions, which if each one of those is around $3 a pop or whatever, it means they saved the city $6,000 and spent $155 million. Spent $155 million on it. So like that's what. And then people, they had all these. The article I read.
Can you afford rent in New York for $6,000 a month? Is there a single apartment in the city, like in Manhattan?
Yourself? Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. But there maybe it'd be close, I think. But the article I read about it, there was all these interviews with people who New Yorkers ride the subway every day and stuff, and they were saying they just stand by the turnstiles on their phones, just like waiting on somebody to jump it and then doing something. It's like they don't do anything else. They're not like actually on the trains or among the whatever, like policing shit on the platforms and stuff. They just wait for people to jump the things, like, and like, say they did something or whatever. And so, yeah.
Because that's what bad culture does. It naturally gets worse. Because if the culture becomes this like weird, we will defend the worst thing you've ever seen on video because, well, who's that going to attract? And who's that going to get rid of? And then you got New Yorkers going there being like, look at these fat fuck cops on their phone. Well, now people don't want to be cops except for asshole. You see what I'm saying? It's just getting worse. It's not good.
No.
Sorry to be such a bummer in the beginning of the new year.
It's all good. You make resolutions?
Do I or did I?
Either.
I do. I'm not against them. I get why some people are like, okay, so on January 1st you're gonna magically be this different person. But it's like, well, I think it's time, like, important to mark time, and you know what I mean, like reflect, et cetera, et cetera. I do think there's a thing I've been needing to do for my health for a little while as it relates to my diet. I took like a blood test. I've got like some allergies and stuff, and I need to like be more disciplined about that. And I'm gonna start tomorrow, hilariously, because we got back yesterday and my fridge is empty, and you know it's gonna take like some actual dedication. So like I couldn't just go to the restaurant last night and do it. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, I'm into it. No wheat, which beer's gonna be the impossible one. But like the way I do them now, and I don't know if this is age or just like I like giving myself breaks, but look, I'm gonna have a beer every once in a while. That's all good. It doesn't mean I didn't keep it, as long as I don't continue to drink the beers.
They don't have, they ain't figured out other alternative beers. They don't have, like,
they definitely
got
can,
alternative everything now.
They can remove the gluten from the wheat, but it's like having beer without wheat. Now it's not beer
like
anymore. Sake or wine or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Making it with that is what makes it beer in the first place.
I think that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I never made, not never, but I don't know, for at least 10 years now, I haven't fucked with resolutions because I was like, well, I mean, we all know how this is going to go anyway, you know.
Sure.
I'm not even going to lie to myself about it anymore, you know. Just setting yourself up to give yourself something else to be mad at yourself over eventually. I mean, unless you actually did the thing, that's also an option, I guess, but not for me, generally speaking. At least it seems to have been the case historically. So I just stopped.
Did you make one or not? Oh, you stopped him because of that.
I stopped it years ago is what I'm saying, and this year is no different.
Yeah. I had a question.
I did try to, I mean, I don't know, like, I went on a bit of a food bender over the holidays, as a man is wont to do, right? And this happens almost every year. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get back on track with that, you know, after New Year's or whatever, which I've done so far. 48 hours in or whatever, I've done that. But I'm saying that I try generally to not be a fucking trash monster when it comes to what I'm eating anyway. And if I fall off the wagon a little bit, just getting back on track, it happens to be at New Year's, but I don't look at that as like a New Year's resolution or anything.
Well, it's like the holidays are over. Right. I had a reset. I was back home, made it impossible to eat right, but now like back home in Tennessee, I mean. So now I'm here.
How do like
they do it?
I
mean, they don't. Look at the stats.
My in-laws though, like, and I love them. They're great. I genuinely love them. But like my father-in-law, for example, I had a whole bit about how he's a real man and I'm not, which is true. He can fucking fix anything. Takes care of his family, strong, silent type, yada yada, whatever. And he's not skinny, but he's thin. He's not at all. He's a thin guy, pushing 70, about my height ish, and dude, there ain't a green vegetable within 200 yards of their goddamn house, man. Yeah. Unless you count like canned green beans. It's like, I get it. I grew up in Clay County. Like, I've had jokes about it. Like how, like when I was a kid, that was what my diet was, and I was a little fat fuck. But it was like, I have a line right now. It's like, I didn't know you could get vegetables not in a can until I was 28 years old, right? Like that type of shit. But like in Wayne County, it still be like that. Like there's no, I was there for like on day 4 or whatever, and I was like, I got to find something that isn't, and they just literally didn't have nothing. I mean, nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's all just like, you know, Velveeta and cream of mushroom soup based casseroles and stuff. Everything is beige or whatever, or like Cisco type, you know, frozen stuff like cookie doughs and shit like that, and just bologna, barbecue. So a lot of this stuff hits hard, but like it's just. But and I'm sitting there like, y'all, this is all y'all ever eat, and like, how do you not feel terrible all the fucking time?
Well, broadly, a lot of them are fat and do feel terrible, I think.
Right.
And then,
yes,
dude,
diabetes,
manual labor.
Right.
I mean, just like if you're out fixing shit all day long at your job and or at home. I mean, dude, my dad's retired. He does carpentry all the time.
That's how my
father wakes up and takes off.
My father-in-law's the same way.
Like he wakes up and leave. Sitting at the house makes him miserable. And by the way, he started to do it more. He's getting on YouTube. I got a bit about it right now. Algorithm not going well. Yeah. I hope he keeps doing it. I want him to work. I want him to die working.
Right.
Not anytime soon, but I want him to, because otherwise something's going to poison his brain and or he'll get fat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I also think I'm gonna get some flack for this, maybe not flack like from our fans. I just mean like I have no evidence for this. I think some of that's a little overstated, man. I think you just get used to it. I mean, dude, we used to drink. Think about how much we used to drink, dog. Think about what we did on the road.
I guess you can just get used to pretty much anything, I guess.
You can't. People are in prison right now. My brother's in prison right now and calls me and cracks jokes. I'm like, dude, you're in a room that you've been in for years now, and you're cracking jokes to me.
Right.
So, like, you think he wouldn't kill to eat some beige food?
Right. Yeah.
But, I mean, I know what you're saying. And also, again, look at the stats.
I love beige food.
And also, look at the stats.
Right.
They do be dying. They do be fat.
I love beige food. It's just after 3-4 days of that, I'm like, God damn, I feel terrible. I'm fucking, my guts are all fucked up.
You get used to it.
Yeah, I guess you adjust to it. All right, well, we do need to get out of here.
Let me get a quick one. Have you been viral for something like fun and dumb? Is it usually or always been at least a little political?
I think so.
This
like
has happened to me.
Viral. I've gotten some. Yeah. I've done things that weren't political that did like all right before. But.
Did it have new people like engaging with you?
Oh, I don't know.
So this has happened to me this weekend. It's just a dumb thing I posted. My top 5 worst friends of the year.
Yeah.
And I think they're meaner.
Yeah.
Than if it was political. Or maybe they're not meaner, but like with its politics, it's like, oh, this dude hates me because he disagrees with me. I got haters I'm like, dude, this is a goofy thing I posted. It like people were making fun of my son's name. Mm-hmm. So it was like wild to me to be like, oh, if you go viral, you get hate. Yeah. It literally doesn't matter what it's for.
I'm sure that's true.
It's not just like, oh, you how do Biden's balls taste? It's like, this is just a goofy thing, and they're saying wild shit to me. Why'd you name your son after a dog?
I think that's 100%.
Because his grandfather was a basset hound.
The case. Yeah, I think that's just part and parcel of fucking with the internet at all, in my opinion.
That was it. That was my only note that I wanted to bring up.
All right. Well, sorry I waited to the very end for that to happen. But go to TreCrowder.com, check out my upcoming tour dates, all that shit. Charlottesville, I think, is the next one, then Florida, then a bunch of stuff after that, so check it out.
Are you going to start a riot?
Yeah, I'm going to come out to the 2 Chainz song.
I'm in and around L.A. the next few months. I think my next gig's in March in Denver. That's outside of L.A., but I've got Culture Court at the Comedy Store. If you're around L.A., look up that. Come check us out. I'm going to be, I think, in like Orange County doing a show soon. I don't know. Mostly I'm hanging out with my son, so fuck you guys, even though I love you.
Yep, there you go. Check it out. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time, and pray for Cho and that he makes it through these trying times. All right, with that said, thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and skew. Skew. Whoop.